Okay, so this is an information session on profit mastery. Kristen and I are partnering to put this program together. Kristen went through this program. It's been a while now since you took the program. Thought very highly of it, and with her background in education, thought that this would be a really great thing to offer for the education industry. So. As we go through, feel free to use the chat window or Q&A if you've got questions, and we will take those at the end. Cool. Kristen, do you want to maybe we'll just get this? We met earlier, and we're kind of regrouping. Why don't we just do a really quick introduction, you and then me? How about that?
Okay, sounds great. So I'm Kristen Patterson. I was first a Montessori teacher, then I was the head of school for 9 years, and then I took over and are running Montessori and such. And when I took Profit Mastery a few years back, I just found it. I was like, where was this when I was the head of school? So partnering with Colin to bring this to schools, it's such a great program just to understand, you know, schools have a huge heart and are run with the students and teachers in mind. But essentially, we are businesses. So it's a way for us to look at the financials from a business standpoint. And then I really like this program because it really breaks down profitability and cash flow and the important things as I learned and had to piece together as an administrator for so many years. And I just feel like this gives you the tools where you don't have to guess. And so I thought, it'd be a great opportunity to bring this to everybody in the school area. So that's why I'm here. That's why Colin and I are here. And I'll shoot it to Colin to tell you his background.
Thanks for that. And fair to say, going into that, your financial acumen was like on the lower end of the spectrum, right? I mean, you didn't have formal education in finance or accounting. So
No.
my name is Colin King, and I am president and CEO of Profit Mastery. I work in a number of other businesses, and we teach and train people on how to understand the financial side of their business, how to like read their numbers and actually use them to make informed business decisions at the end of the day. So that leads us to our kind of the background here, the problem, right? In that most of the business owners and even nonprofit leaders that I speak to, they don't have a formal background or any training in accounting or finance, right? And so if you are thrown into a situation where you're trying to lead an organization, maybe you have some sales skills or operation skills or people management skills, but never had that financial management piece that came along with it. And so, you're kind of thrown into this situation where you don't really have the requisite tools to run the financial side of the business or the organization, or maybe you just don't feel confident about it, right? Maybe things are going okay and you feel more reactive than proactive. And that is really common. We see that very frequently. So for me, I'm a CPA, CFA, have a deep finance and accounting background, and now trying to take those things that I've learned both from the accounting profession and in running businesses and bring them to people who are thrown into that situation, trying to figure out how to keep things going from a financial management side. So Profit Mastery is a company that I got involved with in October of 2023. Company's been around since 1983. It's a financial management system. I think about it as like an operating system. So if you have no background in accounting or finance and you don't really have formal processes in place in your organization, Profit Mastery provides kind of the tools to say, here are the things to go do and when, right? And then how to use them to make informed decisions. Because at the end of the day, you just want to know if things are going well or going poorly, and then what to do about it, right? So I think about it as kind of a framework for financial management. So it's a course. We teach it both in person in like an in-person boot camp. We teach it through dedicated virtual sessions, so get together a couple of times, and then we have an online on-demand class. Take it at your own pace, kind of a format. So in teaching this program, what we do is we show people how to read their financials, right? So if you're a leader of an organization and the month ends, you get handed your financial statements, like how to make sense of it is kind of the root foundational piece of it. Then we show you how to take those financials and basically grade yourself, right? We create a scorecard. We show you how to create and maintain a scorecard. It's kind of the key tool, like maybe the most important aspect of PM. And that's your gauge for, are things good or bad? Are they getting better? Are they getting worse? Right? So we use that very frequently throughout the program. And then we show you how to find break even, whether that's in dollars or in units, right? In your case, maybe that's students enrollment, right? We show you how to manage cash. This is like maybe now getting to the more short range tactical piece of things, right? Like you can't run out of money at the end of the day, and we want to make sure that people we work with know how to navigate that, especially for seasonal organizations. And Kristen, this is like highly seasonal type of organization that we're dealing with, right? So
Yeah, I mean, we see most of our cash flow through September and then, at the end of May or depending on where our tuition is. And then you have this lag in the summer and you're spending so much money when you're reordering and getting your classrooms ready. So yeah, cash flow is a really big thing for schools and something that, your budget and your organization can look really healthy, but your cash can be low and that can add different stresses and problems. So it's a way for you to be able to anticipate that. And I really find the biggest piece that I learned, like, I'm still not an expert in finances, but I know enough that I can ask the right questions. And I think that one of the things I like about the program is it really talks about that. Like, as a school leader, you wear so many hats, but you just want to be able to ask the right questions. And it's just like in a Montessori classroom, right? Is like if you can get your teachers to think about their practice and their observations and those things, they can make the decisions on their own. It's the same thing just from a financial standpoint. And I think that that's one of the big takeaways and why I'm so excited about this program specifically.
yeah, I definitely can tell that it definitely leveled up your skills in being able to pinpoint where to look. And it's one of my absolute favorite quotes. It's so cheesy, but I use it all the time. I'm gonna miss it. It's the 6 foot tall person trying to cross the river that's 5 feet deep on average, right? So like 6 feet tall, river's only 5 feet deep on average, but you just don't know how deep it gets in the middle of that river, right? So it's the same thing in your business. Like the full year might be the full year, but you still have to get from point A to point B at the end of the day. And that's managing cash, that's managing seasonality. So I think that's a huge component of it. Managing growth, this is kind of looking ahead multiple years, right? Like what will it take to get to the end game or whatever the long-term objectives are for the organization. So we show people mathematically how to think about that from a financial standpoint. Like, okay, if I'm here and I want to be there, what resources is that going to require of me? Like, can I afford to grow at the pace that I'm currently growing? Also, just a really underlooked facet of financial management. So that's the curriculum in a nutshell. I'm going to pull up a demo when we're all done. I just figured I would show the course and kind of what it looks like on the back end to give people some familiarity with it. So what's included in what we're talking about here is we're putting on a dedicated virtual training program specific for this industry. So we'll tailor all the content to your business model. We will get together over 4 sessions. Each session will run probably about 60 to 75 minutes, depending on Q&A. So you'll get kind of like a small group guided learning session on how to use the material, demos of how to use each of the financial tools in that toolkit. Our online course is available as part of this. So we've got a self-paced, take it at your own time online course. You'll have access to that for 12 months. It's pretty comprehensive. And this is a really pretty deep program. It's about 16 hours of total content. So yeah, I'm a licensed CPA and I have my CFA, and I liken it to getting that level of education, not to make it sound daunting, just it's really like a pretty credentialed, pretty comprehensive program. So you'll have the dedicated training sessions, which will be guided, demo-based, supplemental, but you'll have the full course behind that, which goes really, really deep if you want to dive deeper into specific sections of the material. And then all of our tools and workbooks, we've got a ton of different templates so that you can plug and play your own numbers and do this stuff live while we're working through it. I like to say this is most impactful when you bring your own numbers to each session and you're kind of working through it as you go. I know, Kristen, when you took the program each week, you were, dropping questions in like, hey, yeah, I'm trying to do this in my with my numbers. Like, can you help me explain this, that, or the other? So using the tools and workbooks is super valuable. And then last piece of it is support from me throughout the program. So, I want everyone who goes through this to get the most value out of it. And to me, that means coming away feeling like you've up leveled in your financial acumen and know how to use the tools and know what they're telling you. So on everybody has a unique situation for their organization or their business. So throughout this program, you can always email me, book time with me, do dedicated Q&A where we can talk through your specific numbers, or if you've got questions and you're not quite getting certain pieces of the material, then we can talk through that specifically. So that's what's included in what we're talking about. So a quick word on me. I guess I've kind of teased my background a few times here. Um, started my career in accounting, moved into finance, and then moved into investing and entrepreneurship. So I kind of have like a multifaceted finance and accounting background with, I don't know, I'm not as good of an operator as my business partner, but I have that blend of doing this both as a practitioner on the operation side and as a CPA. I run a couple of different businesses with my business partner, so we use this stuff day in and day out. So I'm a big believer in like teach the things that you actually use. So I like sharing stories about how we use this stuff in our companies. And then just as a quick flavor of that, here's some of the businesses that we own in our company today. So we're using this stuff regularly for each of these. So I know it's being in education, it's not quite the same as for-profit, nonprofit world, but a lot of the similarities are still there. Like all of the models that are applicable in a for-profit business carry over to literally any industry. So, anything to add on that, Kristen?
Yeah, I think, schools are in the service industry, but at the end of the day, you're looking at tuition as your income, and then, your salaries and expenses are very similar to what you would see in any other business.
Sure.
Seasonality part of the business, Colin has a lot of experience in seasonality of businesses. So I think that that is something that, schools really look at too. I know the school that I ran had public funding that came in at certain time periods. And so we would have lots of cash during a time period, but we really had to learn how to manage that so we had cash at the end of the year. So I think that Collins tools allow you to be able to say, okay, we have all this cash coming in here. But are we profitable at the end of the year? Will we have cash for the summer? So I
Yep.
think those are the tools I think are just awesome to have at your fingertips and to be able to use.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Uh, okay, so here's the schedule for the 4 sessions that we're looking at tentatively. I think there's still some time that we can modify these depending on preferences that folks have. Each session will run 60 to 75 minutes. I want to allow plenty of time for Q&A. So, this is trying to get most value as humanly possible out of it for you. So if we go over because there's a lot of really good questions, then we'll go deeper on all pieces of material. Each of those 4 sessions will cover one of the 4 core tools from PM. So that's just the kind of general topic for each of those 4. And yeah, you get to listen to me. That won't be all lecturing. I like to explain the concept, and then I like to do a demo and show the visual of what the core tool is and really how to use it with live numbers tailored to your business model. So that's the general format for each of those. we'll record all of them and we share the recording and the slides and the workbooks so that if you miss it, you kind of get it back in your inbox and you can just run with it the next day. So that's the timeline and that's the general format for each of those sessions. Did I miss anything there? No?
No, and I think it's just, if you're signing up for the class, just make sure you're giving some time to it because Colin will give these modules, which are great. And then you can go and take the classes online where you can kind of see the different concepts diving a little bit deeper. So I realized really quickly, I was like, okay, I got to dedicate some time to do this,
That's a good.
and why we're offering it this summertime.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So the goal is to try and do this during the slower part of the year for your business, your organization, and then simultaneously the max value add that comes from it is to just to kind of double bang these sessions with the online course. So you're really, really reinforcing the material as you go. So I think just to sit in on these, you'll get lots of value out of that. But to get the most value, the most impact, kind of working these 4 sessions in tandem with our online course will add the highest level of financial acumen in the shortest time span possible. Yeah, it's a really good point. Normally PM is 8.95 per registration. I'm going to move this in case anybody can see that, or if it's just me. Profit Mastery is normally 8.95 per registration, and that includes all the virtual sessions and the workbooks and tools and the in the online course. But we're hosting this program specific to this industry for 5.95 per registration, so it's a $300 discount. And to register, you can either use this QR code or you can go back to, let me move this again, or you can go back to the profitmastery.net education page. And then, plenty of time to think about it because we're not going to get started until, well, I guess it's only like a month away in mid-July. But if you've got questions along the way, feel free to shoot me an email, colin@profitmastery.net. That's COLIN. Or you could send Kristen an email as well if you've been in communication with her, and either of us would be happy to answer questions on the program and the materials. So before we wrap up, I figured it would be helpful to pull up just kind of what the back end course looks like and give a really quick demo before letting you ask some questions. So the core program is in this platform right here. You log in. Each of the modules is kind of broken down into bite-sized chunks, so it's easier to get through than just watching one 16-hour long video with specific topics for each section of each module. So if you wanted to come back and say, oh, okay, I really just want to focus on a refresher on reading financial statements, you could do that. Or a refresher on how to do your ratio scorecard, you could do that. There's an exam for each one, so you can kind of test your skills along the way, and then a certificate of completion is provided once you work through each of the modules. So this is the layout of the online course on the back end, and then we'll tackle each of these modules in our dedicated sessions. So that's the general format. There's also a toolkit that has all of the downloadable spreadsheets for building your cash budget, spreadsheets for building your projections, database so you can compare yourself to other peer groups. The full guidebook, right, is in here. So there's a lengthy guidebook that has all of the case studies that come with it. Ratio scorecard, right, blank template there. So lots of tools that go along with each portion of the actual program. So that's just a quick flavor for what it looks like on the back end. I'm going to turn it over to you, Chris, and if there's anything you want to add, but before that, if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop it in chat. And it's okay if you don't want to drop it in chat, then feel free to send us an email afterwards. But I think this is a really powerful program. I took this program in 2020 and ultimately led me to want to own the company, right, to carry the legacy and do more with it. So even with the finance and accounting background, I got a lot out of this program. So, Kristen, anything else that you want to add before we part ways with these folks?
Just wanted to add, like, even for Colin, he's had people who've run businesses for years and taken this program and gotten so much out of it. I think that even if you are thinking your financial partner, whoever does your books at your company, this is also a great way. I think the nice piece about this is that it really uses language, educational language, talking about numbers and ratios, looking at how um, profitable you are from a different kinds of standpoints, breaking up your different parts and really diving deeper into them. And I didn't take this until after 9 years of running a school, and I learned so much, just doing that, and I use it all the time in the business I run, Montessori and such. And so, it's really I find it really valuable. So even if you have a finance background, I think, Colin, you can talk to this, but people in the industry has found it very helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Might not get as many nuggets if you're already like a seasoned CFO, but you'll still get
Sure.
plenty of nuggets of wisdom coming out of it. So, with that, if there's any questions, drop them in now. Otherwise, send me an email, send Kristen an email. Happy to answer any questions. And yeah, hope to see you in mid-July, right?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you, Colin.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time today.